to get into this racket. But I see you sitting there looking like somebody's punching bag. So I ask you, what do you intend to do now?
What do I intend to do?
Yeah. You. You expect somebody else to handle it?
No.
Howard, maybe?
That ain't what I meant.
What did you mean?
I need the help.
I'm sorry?
I don't need the help.
Well, you don't. Here it is. As long as you are my brother, you will never let this happen again. Do you understand? I don't think you do.
What if I can't? I'm not built like you, Howard. I ain't never been like you.
It's all right. Jack, it is not the violence that sets man apart. All right, it is the distance that he is prepared to go. Jack, look at me. We are survivors. We control the fear. And without the fear, we are all as good as dead.
Fucking A.
Lawless.
Uh-huh.
That's what we're reviewing.
The most coherent that Tom Hardy's ever been.
Yep. Straight off of Batman The Dark Knight Rises. And you can hear him a little bit better in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Without the mask.
Yeah.
So, we always do the drink segment. Like, what are you going to pour?
Mm-hmm.
We decided to pour something for this this podcast.
Being that this is about bootleggers, yeah.
Cheers to having some larceny while we review Lawless. Get that to coat your throat.
There we go. That's good. That is high quality poison right there.
So, Lawless came out in 2012. Lawless is about a family named the Bondurants, which is actually a real family. It's based on a true story. And they're three brothers from Virginia, our home state.
Home state.
And they are bootleggers. They make moonshine during the Prohibition era and sell it.
The darkest chapter in American history.
and sell it all over the place. Like, they have their own little, kind of like a bar, but they have their own little spot in the like the Virginia mountains where they have people come in and try moonshine, like the white lightning.
I guess in the hills you don't really need speakeasies. You just kind of have a restaurant that openly sells it because nobody goes in the hills.
Yep.
And it's all like protected.
Yep, and they're very much people of the town in the sense that everyone knows them and they don't like what's going on with the prohibition. So
respected and feared.
Yeah, so they pay off the cops with moonshine.
Yeah.
They stay under wraps because, they're respected and feared throughout the town. So the movie stars, obviously, Tom Hardy, who's doing most of the talking in that scene. And then he's talking to Jack, which is Shia LaBeouf, who's actually quite good in this movie.
He is good.
He's good. Then there's Jason Clarke, who's kind of a that guy actor. Pops up in this movie, that movie, Everest.
Yeah, he's always just plays actor guy.
Yeah,
we need a guy.
We need a big dude who can fill space and is kind of tough.
Yeah, get me Jason Clarke.
Give me Jason Clarke. It's also got Jessica Chastain. Right after, I had a big Jessica Chastain.
You certainly did,
especially after The Debt, and this is the next movie I saw her in.
Ooh, yeah,
yeah. Like The Debt, also a good movie, but this movie, she's fine.
She's real fine.
She's real fine.
She's got quite a look about her.
Yeah, she does. And then you got Gary Oldman, and the standout who we'll get to after we explain a little bit more about the movie is Guy Pearce for me.
Yeah,
Guy Pearce.
You absolutely rave about Guy Pearce in this.
I rave about Guy Pearce in this. So these guys, the Bondurants, the three brothers, everything's like kind of going kosher for them. They've got They've got a good they've got a good bad reputation in the town. Like their moonshine sells really well. Like it's a good business for them. They've got it hidden away. Like they're making it in the mountains of Virginia and taking it all over the place. And what happens is there's like a crackdown. They're trying to figure out, like the law or like the government's trying to figure out, basically like break up their racket. But the Bondurants are not people who are going to get pushed over very easily. Like they are very tough, well known for being tough group. And there's actually like town legends that the Bondurants are like immortal in a way because they're so tough and don't take shit from anybody and never seem to be able to die. So the government comes, they like break up the racket, and they obviously there's a lot of conflict, and the government sends Special Deputy Rakes, which is Guy Pearce. Mm-hmm. And Guy Pearce to me is just, I remember the first time I saw this, I think it was in 2012. I remember when I saw this, I thought Guy Pearce was probably like the best villain I had seen in a really long time.
That's a bold statement, yeah. Because you saw this first.
Yep.
And then you raved about it for a while, and then I eventually got around to it. And I can see what you're raving about too. I think you definitely like this a lot more than I do. Right, yeah. I like this a lot. It's really good. Good performances, good story. The only flaw I have is I don't really see what not the point, but like the message was about it, because it deals with a lot of different stuff. It deals with like family, and violence and morals and blah, 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 insert adjective here, it's kind of it just kind of is. It
reminds me of The Master, which is by my favorite. My favorite movie ever is There Will Be Blood, mm-hmm. which is an American masterpiece. Paul Thomas Anderson directs that. He directed The Master. It reminds me of The Master in the sense that it's very, very heavily character reliant.
He also makes moonshine in that movie.
Yeah.
Out of like boat fuel, though.
Yeah. It's very character driven. It doesn't necessarily move fast. It really takes its time, and it really like smothers you in the scenes it's in, with like the music that it plays, the ambiance, mm-hmm. the height of the violence, especially. I think
what stood out to me with this, and the more I think about it, is it doesn't really have a main character, Lawless, which I think kind of loses me a little bit, because like when I say like it just sort of is, it's telling a story, but there's no real central character to latch onto.
Yeah, I mean Shia LaBeouf is the main character, and he's the one who goes through sort of a transformation in the movie.
Yeah, he's the one with the arc.
Yes, he is the one with the arc. Everyone else kind of stays pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone else
Stuff
really
happens
does.
to the other characters, but yeah, the only one who really changes is Shia LaBeouf. Yeah. And Jack, right?
And the problem with, I think, why there doesn't seem like there's a big character arc for Shia is because this movie stays very rooted in reality. Like nothing in the movie really happens that is so ridiculous or so over the top that you're like, oh, that couldn't happen. Like whatever explosions happen or whatever violence happens, you're like, oh, that's actually pretty realistic. Mm-hmm. Like Shia is not a big guy. Tom Hardy is, beefy, like mountain boy.
He's a bulldog.
Yeah, he's a bulldog. And then Jason Clarke is,
he's meant to be.
He's a mastiff.
Like, he's like the crazy dog. One, yeah. And he's like drunk the most because he has a big moonshine drinking problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes him kind of like he's the wild card.
So like when
you got the brains, the looks, and the wild card.
Yep. And so when Special Deputy Rakes, which is Guy Pearce, comes into town, the way I describe Rakes or like Guy Pearce's character is he reminds me if you put together like an adult alfalfa, a Chicago
it's
gangster.
His hair, right? It's his hair. His hair is ridiculous.
Yeah,
he has like no eyebrows either.
Yeah, no eyebrows.
Really weird.
So an adult alfalfa, a Chicago gangster, and the Joker. And that's and I don't mean that lightly. Like he is really interesting.
he's the Joker. Are you saying he's the Joker in the fact that he's just like unpredictable and
Yes.
maniacal?
Yeah, he's
fucking unpredictable.
He's very unpredictable, and it's weird because he's very refined, but
he dresses like a big fruit, like a city, like Nancy. He wears really nice clothes.
Yeah, he wears super
like white
nice
gloves.
clothes, like white gloves.
Yeah, it's the juxtaposition. His hair is impeccable, like a little split down the middle, hard part right down the middle.
Exactly. Like he's
like a dandy.
He's like a dandy. He's
like a dandy.
He's super clean, but he's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and he's just this vicious. Like he could if he was in a different life, he could be like an Apache, like a Black Hawk Indian, like who scalps people.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like he'll be having like a normal conversation with somebody in like the town, like not in the mountains where these guys are making the stuff. Mm-hmm. He'll be having a conversation with somebody, and it'll be just a totally normal conversation, and he'll just diverge and be really standoffish.
He gives you that stare. It's like I could easily just kill you right now.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so fun. Is that he's very human in a sense that his unpredictability. Like he just randomly decides. He's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go confront these guys.
I think he's the saving grace in this movie too, because they always say these kind of stories are only as good as the villain.
Yeah. This is...
Yeah.
I would say that villain. At least 50% of reason why I watched this movie is for Guy Pearce.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'd say that in that 50% of that Guy Pearce thing, I'd say another like 45% is the scene where he first tries to mix it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a very good scene.
I also just like watching Shia LaBeouf get the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, so like... You know, this happens within 20 or 30 minutes of the movie, so we're not totally spoiling anything. But Guy Pearce,
we're also not afraid of spoilers, so
yeah. But Guy Pearce decides to. He just like randomly I'm confronting them. So he
basically it's just like because they first show up and they try to shake down Tom Hardy, and they're not going to get that shit at all from him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a stone wall. So they go, okay, well we'll go to the next avenue of approach, which is, you know.
Yeah, and
basically pick out the weak one.
Yeah,
find the runt.
Like Nick said, like they show up with Rakes, which is Guy Pearce's character, and the local police, and the local police are kind of like they're basically compromised at this point because the government's.
They're scared of this guy too.
Yeah, they're scared of Rakes and they're scared of the Bondurants, but they're being exposed for not. For almost like being in cahoots with them, the Bondurants, the Moonshiners. So they're like, they obviously choose the side of the law, and they get on the side of Rakes, who they know is fucking insane. So they're scared of him too. And the first time they show up, like Tom Hardy basically tells him like to fuck off.
Yeah, he stares him down and he tests him, and he doesn't budge an inch.
Yep,
it's great.
And so Guy Pearce comes back just on a
sweater
whim.
On.
Yeah.
Comes up sweater.
It's actually like a cardigan.
Yeah, it's like a cardigan.
It's like a super thin cardigan, which is kind of funny.
He's got a nice little revolver tucked in the back.
Yep. So Guy Pearce decides to show up just out of nowhere. And he comes inside and confronts Shia LaBeouf, and Dane DeHaan is in this movie.
Where's the money? Where's the liquor?
Yeah. He's his name is like Cricket or whatever. Dane DeHaan. And he confronts Shia LaBeouf, and he's basically like, "Oh, you're the runt of the group, like the one who can't handle basically anything. He has a reputation for it. He is the one, if you're going to pick out the weakest one in the Bondurants, to pick out." And you can kind of hear that in the opening that we did with that scene with Tom Hardy, where he's basically saying like, if you want to do this, like. It's not how big you are, like the man you are, or like how big you are, or how violent you are. It's like the man that comes through and pulls through, and that's part of Shia's arc. But when he first runs into, or Guy Pearce comes and confronts him, it is a brutal scene. It's not torture, but it's like a very violent.
It's one of the worst ass beatings I've seen in a movie. Yeah. Possibly ever. He fucks him up.
He fucks him up good.
And it's not like an action packed, like exciting way. It's like every hit you're like, oh god, like stop. It's brutal. Yeah. I don't know what it is about it.
Actually, I did feel bad the first time I watched it, especially.
He like, because Shia LaBeouf does such a good job of just looking like completely helpless, but
whiny.
The hits runty. In it when he hits him too, like every punch, it feels like, oh my god, the way I put it is like you the whole time you're like, the next punch is going to kill him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way I feel about it. Like because he first of all he bashes him in the face with the barrels of the shotgun.
That's my.
And you're
favorite
like, well,
part.
all his teeth are gone.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't stop, and Shia LaBeouf is like begging for mercy, and he just every time he hits him, you're like, oh my god, he's gonna die.
Yeah, you're like one more hit, he's done.
I truly thought first time I saw it, I 100% thought Shia LaBeouf's gonna die.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, great ass beating.
Yeah, great ass beating and
best since The Godfather.
And that's one thing, like the way this movie is directed by John Hillcoat, is he also did The Road, which is a super dreary,
not a fun movie.
It's
actually a chore.
Yep. And 999, which he did recently, which is really violent but kind of all over the place.
Yeah,
I'd say this is like right in between those two movies as far as like quality and.
It's this for Lawless. It's just there's greatness in it somewhere.
Yeah,
there's true like breakout because it didn't do very well. Nobody really saw this, but
yeah.
there is true greatness in this movie somewhere, and it kind of is spread a little too thin.
Yep.
It's a good movie with greatness sprinkled in. I think.
But one thing I noticed about, so we're talking about like the ass beating that Guy Pearce gives Shia, because it is like a linchpin in the movie in certain ways.
Yeah.
The makeup is good for what the violence is. Like if you actually watch this and look closely, so Guy Pearce has a shotgun to his face and he's backing him off, and he like walks towards him and then he lunges forward with the shotgun and bashes him in the face.
He doesn't butt stroke. He shoves the shotgun forward like a spear.
Yeah,
and catches him in the teeth with the front of both barrels.
Yep, and you can see it. You can see the barrels on Shia's face where he's marked.
The circles, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the circles. I was like, holy crap!
Because that would completely. I have a double barrel shotgun.
Yeah.
I picture like if you caught the front of it, all your teeth would be gone, just completely gone.
Like that shit would hurt,
to say the least.
Yeah. And they do a good job with, just from like the costume, and the costumes in this are really good. Like the setting's really good.
Setting's really good. Costume's really good. Especially, I love Gary Oldman's adorable little 30s gangster outfit or whatever era it was. Yeah, he's got the little short tie and he's got the Tommy gun.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, Gary Oldman is Floyd Banner. He's like the gangster, in this movie, which is kind of interesting, but it's kind of a side plot.
He looks like the way you'd imagine a 1930s bootlegging gangster would look.
Yeah, and but
it's fun.
He's more there for Shia LaBeouf's arc.
He's really there to just kind of be an outside element to their own little like hill people lifestyle. He's the connection between like the big leagues, like the real big bootleggers, and the country bumpkin guys. I think he's just kind of the connective tissue.
Yep.
Kind of.
No, I get it. I think he gives you like a more macro view.
He's also there to definitely be like, he's almost like there for Shia LaBeouf
to emulate,
and like because Guy Pearce there. I mean, Gary Oldman is like basically his idol of what Jack wants to be. When he gets big time, because there's that scene where where he machine guns someone down and then he throws Shia LaBeouf that little like wink.
Yeah.
And Shia LaBeouf, you can tell, is like enamored with it. So like he's his idea of what he wants to be versus brothers who want to stay in the hills and just run a family business and look after each other. But Jack has bigger aspirations of being this big timer.
And that's very common for someone with the mentality that Shia has. Like Shia's a runt. So he
You're talking about Jack or Shia LaBeouf?
Jack is the same person.
Shia LaBeouf is a runt.
Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
The actual character is. Yeah, so Shia LaBeouf's character is, he's a runt. Like, he's the smallest guy. And very common with people who are kind of in, like, a vulnerable position in life, or they're maybe not as strong as they want to appear, they overreach.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of wanting to be like his brothers, because he's not physically like them, he wants to be like a guy like Gary Oldman.
The appearance of toughness.
Who projects the appearance of toughness and stuff, not necessarily through like physical willpower, but through like wealth, dress, persona, etc. And you can see in the movie, like after he meets or kind of comes across Gary Oldman, because Gary Oldman, like Nick said, comes into town and just like guns some dude down with a Tommy gun. Like after that point, anyone that Shia is around who is weaker than him, like physically or as a character, he like flexes his strength over them like a boss. And that's kind of part of Shia's character arc in this movie. But obviously the villain in this movie, Guy Pearce, is not necessarily in direct contact with the Bondurants throughout the whole thing, but he's trying to get to the roots of their crime, which is where the moonshine is being made, and he's torturing people in the town to find out. He's killing people in the town. He's hiring assassins to go after the Bondurants. Like, he's really getting after it. One thing I was going to go back to, following up with saying the setting of this is really good. One thing I actually noticed is like the town is segregated. Did you notice that when you were watching it? Like, the town is actually segregated. Like, they have like a whites only.
Oh, really?
Fountain. Yeah. So the setting in this is
I didn't
really
notice
good.
that. That's great.
With the details.
I mean, that's great set design. That's not great. Oh, really?
We got you. But that just goes to how much care went into actually making Lawless. Yeah. But it's like Nick said. Like, this is I like this movie a lot. It's a very good movie, but it's probably not quite towards greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nick said, it's not quite.
I'm not bashing it, but it's
definitely worth one watch minimum.
Yeah, and if you like it, it's worth picking back up again later. Because there's a lot to appreciate in it.
Yeah, it's very violent though. They contrast it really well. Oh yeah, dude, it's super violent.
It's like
super violent.
Yeah, but it's violence with a purpose.
Yes. Yeah. The violence.
It's not like, oh, look at me. Like, there's no action scenes just have an action scene, because it's not that kind of movie. But yeah, when they have violence, it's always has an effect. There's always consequences to it, and it's always for a purpose.
Yeah. And like we said, it's still very rooted in realism, but when the violence is there, that's where it comes off as very dramatic.
Yeah. Because
it's so, like, it contrasts so well. I can't think of a lot of movies where the blood, when it comes out in this movie, is so well, say shown. But when the blood comes out, it's like, it's there. Like, even the scene where Guy Pearce is beating the shit out of Shia, like, he's blood all over his, like, white gloves, which obviously, like, that's a lot of contrast, like the red and white.
Well, he also puts on the gloves. If you want to get all art student about it, he puts on the white gloves, like, so he don't have to touch the blood, because he wears nice clothes, and he knows on his clothes getting ruined. So, the whole like, he doesn't want blood on his hands. Ooh.
Yeah, but that's still like,
but they don't do it. But they don't do it in that way. I think it's just more like his character. Like, he's this.
Yeah.
On the surface, he's this well dressed, sharp, dressed to the nines, city guy. But then he'll beat someone half to death.
I would go as far as say this is by far my favorite Guy Pearce movie by a long shot.
Rave about Guy Pearce in this movie.
Yeah, and I don't like Guy Pearce. I really don't. I don't like Guy Pearce at all. Like, I think Memento might be his second best for me, but like, I hated him in Iron Man 3.
Huh? Oh, I'm in the minority. I like Iron Man 3.
I thought Guy Pearce was horrible now.
I'm on Team Iron Man 3.
No, I hate it. I think it's a terrible movie.
Yeah, I'm on the.
We'll have to argue about that one later. Guy Pearce is the main character in Memento.
I know.
Yeah,
Guy Pearce. Yeah, Memento is great, but I'm just saying I like Iron Man 3 a lot. I think it's.
I hate it
because
I absolutely hate
really Iron Man 1 is the best, and then 2, and then 3, and then 2.
Well, that doesn't say much.
Yeah, well,
dude, Justin Theroux helped write Iron Man 2. It tells you everything.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but
whatever. We'll talk about Iron Man 3 some other time.
Iron Man 3 another time. But again, this movie very violent, very realistic. Shows a cool period in time where during Prohibition, where the bootleggers and guys making moonshine are trying to get around the cops.
It's pretty badass. It's one of those movies you watch and go, "That was badass."
Yeah. It's probably more directed. I'd say
it's a dude movie.
It's a dude movie.
Your wife or girlfrild will have no interest in this movie. There is
nothing for them.
There's nothing for chicks in this movie at all.
There's no real romance either.
Sorry, ladies, you're gonna have to,
Jessica Chastain is in this, and there's a little bit of romance with her, but it's not romantic at all.
No, it's not.
It's actually kind of sad in a way. It's kind of messed up.
Not a chick movie, but who cares?
Definitely a rated R movie. Definitely rated R. So do what we do, and when you're watching this, pour some larceny.
No, or if you have access to moonshine, it's not going to make you go fucking blind. You know.
Yeah, if your friend makes moonshine, don't drink it.
Don't drink it. Never drink it. I feel very strongly about this. You won't put off the ethanol properly, and you'll go blind, or you get really, really sick.
Yeah, but yeah, go ahead, grab moonshine, or
don't get the store moonshine because that stuff is weak.
Yeah, or some larceny.
Get some bourbon.
Yeah, get some larceny. Come on.
Get some larceny. Get some Wild Turkey. Get some Knob Creek, something like that.
Oh.
Or just pick up a gallon of cheap stuff.
Yeah. And if you watch this movie and you like it as much as I do, maybe not as Nick's probably not on the same level I am, but if you like it as much as I do, then send us an email or comment on Instagram that you actually like it, so I know there's someone else out there who does.
Yeah. Cheers. If you have any suggestions on movies you'd love us to comment on, send us an email at amateurhourmovies@gmail.com, tweet us at amateurhourmov, or Instagram us at amateurhourmovies. We'll be teasing throughout the week our release for the following Monday on all these platforms.